Welcome back to another episode of Tevora Talks. I am your host, Cash, as always, joined by my co-host and partner in cybercrime, Matt Mosley. How you doing, sir? It's been a long time.
Doing well, man. It's been a couple weeks, or actually, I guess a couple months, right?
Yeah, maybe longer. We got just raided with nonstop attacks and hacks and forensics and IR. It's been a busy past couple months, I'd say. I mean, the whole
Yeah.
year.
So real quick, talk about that forensics case that you had without naming the client. Just the odd situation that was. That was
Okay,
pretty
yeah.
funny.
So this situation, apparently, which is, I think it opens up a whole new can of like, what do you do there? So company X gets a new employee for hire. Employee goes to pick up a laptop issued to them, fine. Goes home, remote user.
Yeah, because it's COVID, right? So everybody's work from home.
Yeah, everybody's work from home. So goes to the place, gets the laptop, goes home. A day goes by, user is like, missing in action. Yeah. So company X decides, hey, what happened to my user? Where's the laptop? We just hired him. So go tries to find user. Goes to user's address on file, right? Because new employee.
Yeah. So they did a wellness check, right? Right. They
did
called I think they did a wellness check. At least that's what I thought they said on the phone. So they had the law enforcement go over there
Yeah, exactly.
to
Right.
see if they're okay.
So is it law enforcement? I don't remember that exact detail, but somebody went to this person's house just to say, hey, are you okay? What happened? And person opens the door, is like, I'm not this person. Like, I don't know what you guys are talking about. This is me, but I didn't go to your company. I'm not what? So then everybody's a little bit confused. So now they try to find this mystery person who is missing, and more importantly, try to find the laptop, right? Because they go look, apparently a person did log in, did go on the site, did do the training, but now is MIA and it's not the real person. So it's getting weirder. And then to put a real twist, as they're doing all their investigation and trying to find this person, the next day, magically, this person just shows up and drops off the laptop and leaves.
Yeah, disappears. Nobody knows who they are.
Back into the ether. So that was an interesting forensics case. Now I had to get this, and I'm like, this is literally black boxes. No one knows what happened, what they used.
Yeah, nobody knows what's on this box. What could be on the box.
What could be on the box?
What's gonna happen if you put it back in the network?
So then I get it, right, and obviously I'm work from home, so I'm like, I don't want to open this thing right now either.
Yeah,
because I don't know. I'm like, hopefully it's like there's no actual like physical bomb inside or whatever. But so nonetheless, I open it and I don't know. I didn't find anything on the system. I feel like
they just didn't use it. Sounds like to me it was like an identity theft scam that just didn't get executed correctly.
Yeah, something went
like
wrong.
It sounds like they got the identity and everything, and they were able to secure a job. But then after they got the job, they're just kind of like,
they're like, now what?
I'm good.
But I don't know.
Weird.
I wonder what the after.
I mean, it wasn't like an exciting story. I just thought it was really odd. Like every time I tell this story to someone, they're just like, "What is going on?" I have no idea. So anyway, I thought our audience wanted to hear that because that's the kind of weird stuff we get sometimes.
Sometimes, yeah. In the middle of like all the other crazy things that were happening, all of a sudden that came into. Yeah. But I was actually kind of bummed out. I'm like, hey, there's nothing really on here. I'm like,
oh, I know. I would have loved to have found like malware or some sort of like something waiting to like execute. Like then that would have been crazy. The amount of effort that whoever it was going to infiltrate the company,
Oh yeah. I was like waiting for all my smart home devices to start flickering and engaging. Google start talking to itself and whatnot. So none of that happened.
That's pretty funny.
I guess
I always wanted to. Speaking of smart home devices, did I tell you this already? I wanted to create a way that I could communicate with like Alexa and Google Home and all that stuff secretly without anybody hearing me talking to them. And so I kind of went down this route. I'm like, how do I produce sound so that the human ear can't hear it, but the device can hear it?
Okay.
Right.
Yeah.
And so did I tell you this?
No.
Oh, okay. So this was a couple years ago, and I I hit up a couple sound engineer friends that I knew, and they couldn't really help me. And so that's pretty much where it happened. It just kind of died on the vine there, just because I didn't know how to execute my plan. And then I think like 6 months later, MIT came out with a paper, and they had done it where they had created a sound, like audio file, that humans couldn't hear, but the devices could hear, and they could make requests to the different devices.
That's interesting.
And yeah, and then some other security researchers had done it too, and they were requesting like, you know, people's phone numbers and stuff like that from their phones, or text. They were telling like Siri to text people. But I always thought it'd be cool, like do a TED talk and just have the entire audience like text me when they don't even know it, just have it playing over the speakers in the background. Anyway.
Yeah, that's kind of interesting because like I've been doing some basic programming with this speaker, trying to reproduce just piano notes. But other day I was thinking, I mean, you could use a speaker as an input device, right? Just like a microphone. That's what it is on Google. So it's input and output. I wonder if, based on what you said, you could like manipulate it to, I don't know, pump a line of script, because I wonder if there's any input validation happening on whatever you tell Google. Does the system make sure that it's, words that are being translated?
Oh, that's interesting. Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. So
That'd
if
be
you send
crazy.
someone a text message or something, I guess an email, could you do that with? I don't know. We'd have to play with it, but yeah, that's interesting. I bet there's no validation.
No, I don't know.
But how you would get those special characters and stuff in there, I'm not sure. So
it's kind of like, how does Elon Musk say his kid's name? Like, how do you pronounce that too?
What is his kid's name? I never heard this.
You haven't heard this story of how he has like this really strange, it doesn't.
Is he like a symbol? Is he like Prince?
Yeah, like Elon Musk kid's name. Yeah, it's like I can't even do it. It's X and then A-E that's like smushed together with an A-X.
Weird. Yeah. I have not heard that. I know that I'm like in the minority here, but I am not an Elon Musk fan.
No, I think he's cool, man.
People are like, yeah, he's like the real life Tony Stark. And I'm like,
yes, man. He's definitely a little nerdier, that's for sure.
But is he the one coming up with all the cool ideas? Like, I just feel like he's driving the ship,
I mean,
like Steve Jobs, he may have not known how to do the engineering, but it was his ideas. And then he would tell his engineers to create it. And he would, he drove the ship and stuff, but like, he also, commanded the orchestra, like he had all these experts that could do stuff, but he was the one leading everybody. I don't get that from Elon Musk, but maybe
I've watched some of his like TED Talks and little interviews he does. This he definitely knows his stuff. And, he has gone and
he knows how to mess up my Dogecoin. I'll tell you that much.
Yeah, I know.
Sorry, go ahead.
It'll bounce back. You got to buy on the dip, people. Buy on the dip. Holding to the moon. He came and said it. But no, he's definitely calculated. He claims that, there's certain projects that he only has like a certain amount of percentage of time that he puts into it. But nonetheless, he did mention that he is actively, working also on all the projects. So that's pretty crazy. Nonetheless, whatever team or people that he puts together, they definitely do some crazy, cool, progressive ideas nonetheless.
Yeah, no, I agree with that for sure. Definitely not discounting the accomplishments that they've done as a company. So good job, SpaceX, Tesla.
Yeah.
The Boring Company.
The Boring Company. What else? He has a lot of them.
I don't know. He's got a bunch.
There's a lot. I wonder if the boring thing will work out.
I don't know. It's pretty cool. I saw some videos from it in LA. I mean, it would definitely help LA for sure. LA is a nightmare for traffic. So I have a buddy who, I think I've told you this before, but he does, what's the dating app?
Which one?
Tinder. Yeah, he does Tinder. God, that goes to show you how long I've been married. Yeah, he does Tinder, but he like sets it to like a 3-mile radius or something like that because he doesn't want to deal with traffic.
That's so funny, man.
And I told him, I was like, yeah, but aren't you going to run out of like fish in the sea when your sea is like the size of a pond?
3 miles? That's really ambitious. He's really not trying to go out of his way to get a date.
So I don't know how that's working out for him. But he's got a new girl all the time, so
unless you're in
just fine.
Unless you're in a heavily densely populated city like New York, I don't see how many people are going to be in.
I mean, he's in Pasadena, so.
All right, Pasadena is still. I guess
it's pretty populated.
That's pretty populated.
Yeah.
All right. Let's see. We'll follow up with your friend. Let us know how his 3-mile radius is working. I'm genuinely curious.
So I'll stop throwing the wrench in the gears here. You want to talk about some security?
Oh yeah, that's right. We are a security podcast, apparently. Forgot about that. I was actually going to think of something based on security and Elon Musk and his boring. It just made me think of like infrastructure, how my brain works, and hacks and attacks. Like if the boring company, imagine it's like live and there's a bunch of people in this tunnel that's automated, moving people around. What if that gets hacked?
Ooh, people are stuck down there.
Yeah,
that would be a literal nightmare. I would freak the F out. Yeah.
What would you do? There has to be some kind of like contingency plan. But have you seen his plan? He's trying to make the tunnel small enough to avoid having like, I don't know, a lot of things happen. But yeah, I don't know. These attacks are crazy, leading us into the major attack we want to talk about, of course, is the pipeline attack.
Yeah.
I mean, this year has just been nonstop ransomware, right? From big companies left and right. Apple was faced with it just a little bit ago, but
yep. Toshiba, I mean, everybody, you name it, they've all been hit by it. Yeah.
Yep. And these guys, I think this
Colonial Pipeline.
I feel like this is the first time the public has really felt the impact of it.
Maybe on like a large scale. I would agree with that, but I think like local municipalities have definitely felt the impact. Hospitals have felt it, right? Like last year we had our first death, right, from ransomware. So
yeah, I think it is pretty crazy, to have. I wonder what the initial attack point was. They still haven't mentioned it from what I've read. I haven't found it.
Yeah, I'm not sure. I was looking that up today as well, and I didn't do too much research on it, but I'm gonna assume it's probably an email, right? Someone clicked on a link or engaged somewhere that they shouldn't have been. So
I mean, I hope nowadays, based on the stuff that we've seen this year, believe it or not, there are still a lot of Windows 7.
Oh yeah, SolarWinds, Microsoft Exchange,
2008,
remote desktop protocol being exposed to the internet. Like if you're still doing that and it's 2021, like just retire, like resign from your security position.
That's it, man. Just call it quits.
So,
but who knows? I mean, these guys, so $4.4 million ransom they paid, right? And apparently the decryption tool didn't completely work. Shocker, right?
Right. Yeah, we've had that happen on our cases.
Yeah. So, and dang, I guess the reason that they paid it was apparently, they didn't realize the extended damage initially. They didn't know how much downtime they're really going to face. And of course, I mean, you're a major player in the, general infrastructure of the, gas lines. So you got to pay the piper, man. You have to risk it, right? You don't have a choice.
Yeah, when you're not prepared, that's what happens.
Yeah. I mean, even if you are prepared, right? If like you have the backups, you have the systems, and it's like, oh, it's not a big deal. We'll just reset everything. It still takes time. I don't know how big their infrastructure was, but hey, if you have like, hundreds of servers and, X number of, workstation and nodes, and you got to re-blast everything, it can still take some time.
Yeah, but I mean, that's where you have like business continuity and disaster recovery, right? You have hot sites that you can fail over to. Now, what happens when your hot site gets infected? Well, then you didn't do it right.
Then you didn't do it right, yeah. Exactly.
Which we've had, right? We've had cases where the disaster recovery site got infected or got manipulated. Like we had one, back in November, I think it was an AWS environment that is made as a disaster recovery site. And it comes up online just for a moment to get updates. And while it was up, someone brute forced SSH and got in and infected with a crypto miner. And, but yeah, like if that's happening in your disaster recovery environment, you're not doing it right. Like, I'm sorry. Man. I don't know what to tell you. But there's reasons why we do all these things. You just have to do them right. And
so hopefully
I
I
will
won.
say we don't always eat our own dog food, but there's some basics. Like, let's just get it right, people. Sorry, go ahead.
Well, I mean, this is a business, right? These guys are ultra pros nonetheless. I mean, this attacker group, they're called Darkseid, right? Who have also been shut down recently, and we'll go into that next. But apparently, look, over 9 months, this ransomware gang, right, company, I like to call it, has extorted $90 million from people.
Yeah, in Bitcoin. So that's like 5 Bitcoin. That's crazy.
It's like I wish if Bitcoin hits $1 million, I may or may not do podcasts anymore.
I would, if Bitcoin hit $1 million, I would just dedicate my time to hacking people with Bitcoin and just steal it all. I'm just kidding. I wouldn't do that, but I wish I could do that.
Russia, man. Everything's okay in Russia, apparently.
But yeah, it's crazy, dude. $90 million. Can you imagine? $10 million a month.
That's crazy. That's crazy. And they're a new group. I kind of read into them. They started up just last year.
Yeah. Yeah. So one thing that we've always talked about is like, when we talk about these things is like, man, we're on the wrong side. Like we could be making so much money. And then I'm always like, well, yeah, but I don't want to like live always looking over my shoulder.
For sure.
With $90 million.
Yeah, you could
live looking over your shoulder. You just hire people to look over your shoulder for you.
Exactly. 90 is pretty tempting.
Right? Like, man, yeah. That's what we need to do, Cash. We need to figure out the big heist.
That's it, Matt. The one FBI guy that's listening to our podcast has now added us to that watch list. So
we'll put him in. We'll put him on the payroll.
Call us, whoever you are. We'll cut you in. It'll be like a,
They're not all innocent, man. You heard about the Silk Road. A couple of those FBI guys, they were stealing Bitcoin from that.
I bet, man.
So anyway, all right. So $90 million they made over 9 months. They just started. What else you got?
What happened to them? Right?
They messed with the wrong country, I think.
They definitely did.
Yeah. So the other night, I guess a spokesperson, I don't know where they were from, but they were talking about the basically United States retaliated against this group, and from all accounts decimated them. They have retired. They are giving decryptors out to companies that haven't even paid them. They are paying off all of their debts to their underground organizations that they owe debts to, and they're getting out of the business. They've called it quits.
Yeah,
and I guess their crypto wallets got seized or emptied or something happened to their crypto. And also the exchange BitMEX, is that what it was called?
Yep, something like that.
Yeah, which is like a
BitMix.
Yeah, it was like a crypto coin laundering service, which I didn't even know you had to do.
Neither did I.
That got taken down in the process. So yeah, definitely they called down the thunder.
Well, let me ask you this. They seized their crypto.
That's what they said, yeah.
So that makes me two things. Like, A, it's not as anonymous, right? You can't just they just call the bit company and say, you got to just give us these accounts.
Right.
So that's one thing. And then where does it go? That's a lot of money. I mean, I don't know if they seized $90 million.
So this is something that I've always wondered, right? Like with Bitcoin and the value and how many coins are out there and stuff. How much does the U.S. government own of Bitcoin, right? That they've seized in different, underground operations. Yeah. And how much Bitcoin's been lost, right? We've heard stories about that where the guy, threw away his hard drive, or the one guy had a flash drive and he forgot the password, stuff like that. So it's like, how much Bitcoin's really out there? And but yeah, there's a there's a really good book called Data and Goliath, the hidden battles to collect your data and control your world, and it's by Bruce. I always mess this up. I don't know if it's Schneier or Schneer, But
Schneier. I like Schneier better.
yeah, he's got a few books and they're all really good. But it talks about like metadata and how even though you don't have a name associated with the data, you can pretty much glean enough information um, based on like the call time. Like, for example, for a phone call, you could base it on call time. You could base it on the length of the call, where the call originated from, and where the call went to, right? And he did one example in the book, and he's talking about this number, which we have no idea who owns this number, called another number, and the other number is an abortion clinic. And you see in, let's say, January, that the calls were 5 minutes, then they were 10 minutes, then they were 30 minutes. And then by February, they were 5 minutes, 2 minutes. And then by, March, there's no more calls. So based on that information, you can assume that the person who made the call probably was scheduling an abortion, and it happened sometime between February and March, and then they were done.
That's
right.
crazy.
Yep. And so, yeah, it's like there's a lot of information you can get just on surrounding data, even if you don't have identifying information. And so I think and the reason I'm saying all this is because I'm getting to the point of the Bitcoin stuff. It's not as anonymous as we like to hope or think it is. I think with enough information and enough metadata surrounding that, you could probably start identifying whose wallets belong to who. And in fact, we've seen that with like Dogecoin and SHIB and all that stuff, where people have identified the
whales out there.
The whales, yeah, because based on like the wallets and the transactions and stuff like that. And the same goes for the Tor network, right? We've heard that like the FBI has a lot of these exit nodes and stuff like that, and they can obviously see who's connecting and where they're exiting and stuff like that, and what kind of sites they're going to. But you can also, even if you don't have all the exit nodes, you have enough of the information that you can kind of piece together and de-anonymize the Tor network, and so it's not as secure and anonymous as we like to think. So I don't know. I think that's part of how our law enforcement probably went after Darkseid. I'm just guessing because I obviously don't have any insight into it, but that's my theory.
I wonder,
I'm sticking to it.
So like at the end of the day, you will have to pull it out and convert it to some actual money that you can buy stuff with, right? I mean, not to say you can't buy stuff with crypto. Yes, you can, right? But the general merchant down the street still uses normal money.
Right.
So that has to get connected to a bank account because you can't withdraw like $1 million from crypto out of a crypto ATM. As far as I know.
Well, that might be where BitMEX comes into the mix, no pun intended. But that might be where that service was, helping them. So because it was helping them launder, right, the crypto coin.
Yeah. I think it sounds like it's going into its own little like Tor funnel whirlwind and cranking out somewhere else.
Yeah, I mean, if you've got 30 different underground, companies or organizations or groups or whatever you want to call them, putting money into that BitMEX wallet, right? And then that BitMEX is giving you your money somewhere else. The trail kind of stops at BitMEX, right? So unless you know where it came from there, you're not going to know where it went from there. So
yeah, exactly. That's crazy.
Yep. So I guess that's why that service exists. See, another thing we missed out on, man. We should have started that.
It's gone now.
Yeah, it's gone now. I'm sure there's another one out there though.
Yeah, there for sure is. There for sure is. If not, there's going to be a new one in like 10 minutes. So, but I guess people out there, companies out there, stay vigilant. Find your old devices. Get rid of them. If you're running Windows 7, stop using it. If you're using 2008, that one died too, so.
Yep. Update. I mean, the problem is it's really a majority of these things are like security awareness, right? It's the end user. You can have the best vulnerability management program and the best tools and all that good stuff, but someone somewhere is going to click something that they shouldn't be clicking on or opening something they shouldn't click on, and then they get infected. But there's ways to protect that too in the environment, right? Like endpoint protection that could hopefully protect this stuff. Stuff that looks at files that are accessing or executables that are accessing multiple files catching that kind of behavior stuff and stopping it in its tracks. Those would be the kind of tools. Segmenting things.
Access use policies, man.
Yeah.
Like
I mean, there's lots of things that can be done.
Is like you have a user out there that just needs to have some program really quick. They're not a tech user. They just go Google it, whatever's there. They click on it to try to download it, and right, it's maybe not their fault, or they don't know that they can ask for the right version of the software. So at least maybe close that gap of communication and say, hey, if you need a PDF viewer, call me, open a ticket, something.
Yeah.
Don't do it yourself. But with that said, I guess remain vigilant. Darkseid gang, sorry to see you go, kind of. But I'm sure a new guy will pop up.
Yeah, ransomware is not going anywhere anytime soon, or not going away, I should say. One trend that's happening with ransomware that I kind of want to talk about too was this the new kind of negotiation. So we've seen in the past, it's like the one company, they get hit, you reach out to the attackers, make sure that they're not associated with terrorism, whether you want to pay them or not, negotiate the price, and then you're done, right? You get your decryptor, it works, maybe it works, maybe it does, maybe it doesn't, maybe you don't get the decryptor at all. But now they're starting to do triple extortion, which means that they're basically demanding payments from your customers, your partners, your third parties that you deal with.
Oh, no way.
And yeah, so they're definitely looking to get paid either way, right? And then we just had one ransomware event a couple weeks ago where they requested 1 Bitcoin, and our client paid them. So 52 grand, because that's what it was at the time. What is it today? Like 40 grand?
Yeah, 40.
Can you imagine having 1 Bitcoin? I'm just side topic real quick. Having 1 Bitcoin and it dropped 12 grand in a week, and you basically just lost a used Jetta.
That sucks. Yeah.
So crazy. But if you have 1 Bitcoin, I guess it's a quality problem. So anyway,
that's a first world problem.
So they paid the Bitcoin, and then the attackers were like, yeah, that was just a test to see if you were, interested. Now that we know that you're interested, we want another Bitcoin, and we'll give you the decryptor.
No. That's the problem. That's the problems with ransom. You don't know what's going to, it's literally putting it on black.
Yep, exactly. And so they paid another Bitcoin. They did get the decryptor. It didn't work all the way, but it worked for the most part. But yeah, man, 100 grand. That's a big gamble.
That is a big gamble.
I'm not going to be gambling 100 grand, but I mean, I guess if you're a company that has millions of dollars, no big deal. So,
well, hopefully these cyber insurance companies are, taking care of these clients of theirs and not making it a difficult thing to get their money back.
Yeah.
But if you don't got an cyber insurance, definitely consider purchasing it.
Yeah, for sure.
Gotten crazy.
And we're not associated with any of those companies. We're just telling you it's probably a good thing to do.
Yeah, it's a good idea at this point. If you don't have it, buy it. Yep. It doesn't matter how big or small you are, you're going to need it at some point, guaranteed.
Yeah. So, and Babook, ransomware gang hung up their spurs. And so that's 2 down, I guess. Darkseid and Babook. So, yep.
Well, time to make wave of the new generation of
right. I'm sure they'll make it better and faster and multi-processor, multi-thread, whatever.
Yeah, it doesn't mean it's getting better. It just means it's like temporarily. It's like the dip. This is the dip in the ransom market. A couple guys got out. Wait for the new wave.
Yeah.
So.
And then in other news, we had some oldies but some goodies from my career. Apparently, Fin7's back.
Really?
I thought they had kind of died off, and their leader had been arrested and prosecuted, and apparently they're back. And Mage Cart's back. So yeah,
that thing just never goes away, huh?
They never stop, man.
That's great.
Mage Cart Group 12 is now evolved from client side attacks to server side. So yeah, just make sure you're patching PHP, you're patching, all the server software, whatever you're running. And then also make sure you're patching all of the, content management systems. If you've got WordPress or whatever out there, e-commerce sites, like Magento, stuff like that, make sure they're all up to date, because that's how they're getting in. And then they're, putting in their malicious code that's skimming credit cards. So Oldies but goodies.
Well, let's see what they got. It sounds like the next few months are going to be an exciting time. So,
man, I don't know. I don't know if we can take on anymore.
Yeah, I don't know if we can take on anymore. At this
We've had a
point, it's
busy
like,
year.
at this point, I'm like, how many systems are infected? Oh, all right, here, not too bad.
Yeah. Like this is our anniversary episode that we've been holding off just because we've been so busy. And I wanted to make it really special, but we don't have time. We don't have time to plan out these episodes because we've been so crazy lately. But
today, at least we squeeze it in. So hopefully we'll bring more and more, time permitting. So
yep.
I guess with that said, I don't have anything else to talk about for today.
I got a couple more, man. I got a couple more. Yep. I got a fun one.
Yeah, send it.
Are you a Roku fan?
I am. My old TV was a Roku TV. I love Roku.
Okay, what happened? I'm a big Roku guy. I love Roku. But unfortunately, something happened between YouTube TV and Roku, and they couldn't come to an agreement. And so now there's this like up in the air. We don't know if like YouTube TV is going to stay on Roku or not. Supposedly, as long as you have the old app, you're good. They're not going to remove it, but you're not going to get any new updates, right? And but good news is someone actually figured out how to jailbreak the Roku. And it's not firmware level or anything like that. So it's not gonna, you can't brick your device or anything like that. Pretty easy to execute. Basically, you're gonna put this software on here, and it's gonna spawn a telnet server, and then from there you can get in and unlock like developer mode and do some cool stuff. So
interesting.
Yep. And you can still get updates, but you can block all the ad reporting and ads for Roku. I have not used this yet. I don't know that I will just because we're on the podcast, but it seems pretty neat. So definitely look that up. It's called Root My Roku, and it's available on GitHub. And then lastly, or actually, I guess I got two things to announce. InTab. So our friend Adam Dodge.
Yes.
He's doing a good webinar over there about dating in the online world and how to protect yourself, ladies, and I guess men as well. But basically how to, if you're going to meet people from Tinder and stuff like that. I think he goes into, doing some open source intelligence gathering on people and just making sure that they're legit and how to protect yourself. So go check that out, intab.org, which is in technology abuse. He is doing some cool stuff, lots of cool online webinars, lots of great information. We always like helping him out whenever possible, and hopefully we'll have him back here on a guest appearance. He's already done one show.
One
show, yeah. And then I did a webinar with him.
That's right. Yep.
On a different one. So, but yeah, always good stuff there. So definitely check that out. I think he's touching on some stuff that a lot of us need to know about that we don't talk about, like the deep fakes and the like revenge porn and online abuse, like cyberbullying and stuff. So I always like to promote him whenever possible.
We should. Let's bring him on for a post conversation of his conversation.
All right, sounds good. Actually, we should bring him on to promote his stuff, get some more people. And all his stuff is usually free. I think he only charges like organizations. I don't think he does anything where he charges individuals. So, but lastly, now I'm finally on my last piece, and this thing I thought was really cool, and I think it's just going to make me retire from incident response.
Really? You've been holding out on us. What is it?
So Black Arrow wrote a blog article here written by Pablo Ambite. I hope I said that right. Right. Where he basically outlines how to leverage Microsoft Teams to not only set up persistence, but also cover up your Cobalt Strike traffic. So that's it. I quit. I'm done.
That's it.
Now I gotta look at freaking Microsoft Teams to see if people are affected, hiding traffic there.
It's your favorite. It's your favorite communication platform for the win.
Yep. So this red team was doing an operation, and they compromised a workstation, but the workstation had a EDR solution, right? So endpoint detection and response. something like CrowdStrike or Carbon Block. It doesn't say which one, but they needed a way to basically keep their foothold, but also mask their traffic. So they scanned the system and found that Microsoft Teams binary was actually vulnerable to DLL hijacking. And from there, they basically wrote their own DLL that leveraged the update manager.
Okay.
Which I guess is called Squirrel, and it's present in multiple products, right? So it works in Slack, it works in Teams, Discord, WebEx, right? And those are all things that everybody has installed, especially now in the age of COVID. And it's all signed by Microsoft, right? So what they were able to do is basically have that DLL call their DLL, and then from there they can do their traffic. So they can do encrypted traffic, so you can't even see it, right? Unless you have some sort of network sensor that's picking up on encrypted traffic or unidentified encrypted traffic. That would be one way of flagging it. But other than that, they're really going to fly under the radar.
That's crazy. Yeah, I mean, they're pretty much masking their activity. And the whole time you think it's none other than Teams.
Right. And so this technique's not new, right? Hiding your information, right? Especially with Cobalt Strike. I think out of the box, you can configure it to hide as Pandora or AWS or stuff like that. I could be wrong. So correct me if I'm wrong, listeners. But the cool thing about this was the fact that they're using Microsoft Teams in a pretty creative way. And we're able to establish their beacon. And then from there, send commands to the system and remain persistent even under cover of EDR, right? So EDR was on the endpoint, and it didn't flag it.
Which EDR or no? Just curious.
Does not say, which is probably good because then we'd probably abandon whatever one we're using if it was on there.
Yeah, for sure. Who was the company we recently were working with? And they're like, yeah, we had antivirus on there. Something about that, and we're like, well, apparently it didn't work.
Right. There's been a couple, and I don't know if I probably shouldn't blast the products, but there's two products that I know of that do antivirus that I've been called into multiple incidents with them, and they are not a good solution. I won't say their name, but if you're a client of mine, you want to know, I'll let you know. I steer all my clients away from it.
And if you're a client,
we've been called into multiple incidents, especially with the one vendor, just because their software just does not work very well. So
I know who.
All right, that's it. I swear, I'm done.
If you're genuinely interested to find out who Matt is talking about, email us at, what is our email? I don't even know what our email is anymore. podcast@tevoratalks.com.
Yep. And also that reminds me, I owe someone $1 steak, I think.
Yeah, you still owe that.
Don't I?
I think you do.
I'll have to track you down. I know you posted something in the YouTube comments. I will find you and I will make good on my $1 steak promise.
What was that Liam Neeson line? I will find you.
Yeah.
And I will hunt you down.
Yeah. Unfortunately, my skills don't really require a whole lot because I just have to look at the YouTube comments, but we're good. Nothing advanced, really. Although I do have skills to track down people if I need to. So
that's so funny.
That's another story for another day. I have a good story about that. That was in India with an Australian citizen. Tracked her down. Found her for her parents. That was fun. Not fun.
Really?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I'll save that for another day.
Yeah. Save that. I want to hear that story. Well, all right. It's been real talking to you. I have to get back to the million people that are hacked right now.
Yeah, exactly.
But this was a great mental break. And for everybody out there, if you're still listening, hit subscribe, hit like. If you're still listening and we haven't sent you some cool stuff before, hit me up, find a way to contact me, and I will hook you up with some cool stuff. With that said, that's all I got. Matt?
That's all I got.
All right, then. It's been real, ladies and gentlemen.
Happy anniversary.
Happy anniversary. Catch you on the flip side.